Contingency Log, number 59, codename Superiority Complex. In a world of heroes and villains, there are certain personalities that one would expect from either. Typically, a villain would display a personality that would be considered off-putting if not outright terrifying, while a hero would be the opposite, giving off a calming aura which will tell innocent civilians that everything will be okay. Sometimes there will be those who break this mold, such as someone designated a villain who, while breaking the law, is not in themselves a bad person. And vice versa, there are heroes who, despite wanting to do some good in this world, have a rather unique way of portraying themselves. When it comes to heroes who break this mold, Katsuki Bakugo would be someone who did so with extreme prejudice. Born in a world where the majority of humanity have superpowers known as quirks, Bakugo grew up with a drive like many others his age to become a pro-hero and eventually claim the title of number one. And he would enter this race not just running, but stepping over any and everyone who he perceived as being in his way. And he would do this with a quirk that matched his personality, simply called explosion. His quirk causes his palms to sweat a nitroglycerin-like substance which he can spark on command for a powerful explosion. And for what may seem to be a simple quirk, Bakugo has managed to use it in very creative ways, not just using it to blow away opponents, but by using the force of the explosions for quick bursts of movements. This allows him to overwhelm his opponent by attacking wildly from any given angle. He's even used this form of movement to fly, capable of clearing buildings with a single burst. Impressively, his body is also capable of withstanding the G-forces of such a launch, on top of the shockwaves of his own explosions. His preferred method of attack is to get up close and personal with his opponent, but he has developed means of using ranged attacks as well, the first coming in the form of the two grenade-like gauntlets he wears. More than just a fashion choice to fit his gimmick. These gauntlets have a hidden feature to them. As stated, Bakugo's quirk is based off of his sweat. His gauntlets designed to capture excess amounts of it in a storage compartment within them. When full, or when he needs a more powerful assault, he can take aim and pull a pin on the gauntlet. This will unleash all the stored-up sweat, delivering a massive blast. And if that wasn't enough, Bakugo would eventually be given additional weaponry. Named the Strafe Panzer, it operates similar to his gauntlets, using stored-up sweat as ammunition to give him a far wider rate of fire as well as allow him to keep his range. All in all, he has a great understanding of his quirk, and pairing well with his personality, Bakugo has managed to use it to become a great hero. But as hard as he may have trained to master his powers, there are some weaknesses that are far beyond his ability to overcome. Starting with the most obvious weakness, in order for Bakugo to use his quirk, he absolutely needs to be able to sweat. Given his chosen occupation, that isn't exactly the hardest thing to accomplish, especially in Japan where summers can have high levels of humidity. Needless to say, the harder he fights, the more he'll sweat, and the stronger his explosions will get. But this becomes difficult during the winter, as it takes longer and more effort in order to warm himself up enough to use his quirk effectively. He has come up with means to overcome this, mainly winter-based gear that'll help warm him up faster. But that's more of an aid than a total overcoming of this weakness. I've had plenty of experience with handling the cold as well, and I've also learned how to best utilize it for my own advantages. Thanks to my understanding of Victor Freeze's arsenal, I've managed to create a modified version of his freeze gun. Unlike the original, which will encase you in ice immediately, this one aims to reduce one's core temperature gradually. This should be enough to weaken his explosions if not stop them entirely, hopefully giving me enough time to subdue him before hypothermia starts to set in. Another approach is through the use of various chemicals. Fire-retardant materials could possibly prevent him from sparking his sweat. Though for an even less complicated tactic, the use of knockout gas should be more than effective, as Bakugo has shown little to no resistance to this. One thing I want to avoid, however, is an all-out physical confrontation. While in the beginning of his hero training it was clear that excess use of his quirk can take a toll on Bakugo's body, his durability would only grow towards the end of the series. even once standing to fight once more after having his heart completely reconstructed after it had been blown out of his chest. It's a little frightening how far he'd push himself sometimes. Sometimes in my contingencies I'll comment on the likelihood of my targets requiring me to take action against them. And for some this may seem like one of the cases where it will take one bad day before Bakugo would turn to the dark side. And in truth there were people in his own world who once believed the same. His aggressive nature and tendency to exclaim his desire to destroy his opponents winning him no favor. But I don't agree. For what I see is not a boy who would become a villain at any given moment, but someone who is still growing, still maturing. Yes, he's had his lower moments, times where he was at his worst, doing and saying things that he would look back on with regret. But that is what it means to grow, not just physically, but emotionally as well. No matter his violent outbursts, no matter his aggressive nature or rage, Bakugo at his core wanted nothing more than to be a hero, like the one whom he admires the most. I may have this contingency in case the worst-case scenario should come to pass, but from where I stand, I don't see myself having to use it anytime soon. If you also have a character you wish for me to cover, or just want to support this channel, I'll have a link to my Ko-fi page. There will also be a Google Doc with the list of characters who have ever been done or already commissioned by others.